Jersey's own Zach Gelb. Or maybe it's Pennsylvania. Anyhow, it's one of the two, I'm pretty sure. The Zach Gelb Show continues on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back in, rolling along on a Tuesday. This is the Zach Gelb Show. We come to you live from our Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. And time right now in those Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios, 4:15. On Sunday, we lost two great people. One was a tragic passing of Jose Fernandez, who passed away at the age of 24 in a boating accident. And the other one was Arnold Palmer, the king, as he passed away at the age of 87. An icon both on and off the golf course, and a close friend of Arnold Palmer, and Arnold was actually a mentor to him, was the great Johnny Damon, who played in the major leagues from 1995 to 2012 and won 2 World Series championships. And Johnny Damon is kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Johnny, first off, we send our condolences to the passing of your close friend in Arnold Palmer. Thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Absolutely. I'm doing good. I mean, just looking back on Arnold Palmer's life, I mean, it was absolutely tremendous. The way he lived it, the way he shared it, I mean, it was very special. And unfortunately, as you mentioned earlier that morning, we lost a very young, very talented young kid who I talked to when he was coming out of high school, and I was trying to tell him the pros and cons of a pitcher of his caliber turning pro or going to college. And, the pro route was definitely the right way for him, and he was just tremendous. And it was so sad to hear that. And I remember my conversations with him, and he just seemed to be a bright kid. And then later on in the evening, my wife informed me that Mr. Palmer passed. And, what a dear friend, just the absolute best. And, that's, when someone lives a life like that, you understand, the life and death situations. But Jose Fernandez might have been a little bit tougher to swallow.
No question about that, because we could celebrate the life of Arnold Palmer, but with Jose Fernandez, it's a tragedy with him passing away at the age of 24. We'll talk about Jose in just a little bit, but
okay.
I want to first touch with Arnold Palmer. When was the first time that you met Arnold? I know you guys did a lot of charity work together, and how'd you guys become such close friends?
Yeah, I would say I met him around 10 years ago, but obviously I knew so much about him, but just going to the hospitals, Arnold Palmer and the Winnie Palmer hospitals, and just going to see sick kids, and Arnold Palmer just pulling us aside and saying, "You guys are the ones who are going to have to keep Orlando going strong and keep giving back to your communities." And I remember that. He said he's not going to be around forever, but we need to have solid people in the community who can give back. And, and it was myself and Paula Creamer, Justin Rose. So, I mean, Arnold Palmer was very influential in the city of Orlando, where, it is my home and has been my home for 37 years. And just everything about the man was spectacular.
This was someone that was an icon. He was bigger than life. And a lot of athletes, after they finished their career, they could go away and never be heard from again. But that wasn't the guy and the man that Arnold Palmer was. And we knew how important that charity work was to him. Just what were some other things that he taught you? Because I saw on your Instagram post you called him a mentor to yourself.
Well, mostly about giving back and do whatever you can to make people feel special. And he knew who I was, but he saw something else. He knew what kind of a guy I was. I mean, my mom grew up cleaning hotel rooms, and her part-time job was actually going to Bay Hill and cleaning up townhomes and helping clean up around, the golf course, and she said that the people were so nice and all that stuff. So this was 35 years ago, and I would go with her sometimes and help her out, and always dreamed about playing golf at Bay Hill one day. But the mentoring part is like just trying to do as much as you can, and obviously we would love to think globally for everything, but it starts with thinking locally and going to the Arnold Palmer Hospital and seeing the sick kids, seeing the smiles on their faces. That brought a smile to his face, especially since we were, he was finished with, being that stud that he was on the golf course. He took it upon himself to look to the other athletes or celebrities around Orlando and say, you have to continue to carry on this dream and this passion of his, and absolutely anything for Mr. Palmer.
When was the last time you talked to him, and what were the details of those conversations?
Well, the last time I talked to him had to be about 5, maybe 6 months ago. Being a member at Bay Hill, just going in there, and it was always a joy to see him. And we would sit down, and he would watch, a card game or hang out with some of his friends. And every time I came in, he took his time to just sit down and talk and make sure things are going great, and ask me about my family. And I think I took him back a little bit when I was like, yeah, we have another baby on the way. And he's like, whoa. So that close of a friend who cares so much about my family and just understood how special everybody is. And we are going to miss him. I'm going to miss when I go and play at Bay Hill, walking in and not seeing him. But I also know that, there's a greater purpose for him. He's probably knocking down so many eagles up in heaven right now, and, giving God a run for his money. I mean, that's how incredible of a guy he is.
Johnny, it's amazing how an icon like this could be such a down-to-earth human being and just be a gregarious person and touch people not only your age and people older than you, but even people my age. It's remarkable how this guy for so long made so many great connections with people, and was just at the end of the day, when you get past all the star name of an Arnold Palmer, he was just a really good guy.
Oh, he is so special. And, and it's reflecting is like the best thing we could do about him, because he lived a great life. And just, what he said about, golf has meant so, everyone knows how much he meant to golf, but he's also said golf has meant as much, if not more, to him. I mean, that's just a true professional. And just, like I said, we're going to miss him, and I'm going to think about him a lot, and I'm going to carry on what he wanted us to do, and it's continue to give back and continue to visit his hospitals and in memory of him. And hopefully my name doesn't get too far out there. Hopefully these kids will still know who I am, but I would love to continue to bring smiles to their faces, just for him.
Johnny Damon joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey, remembering the life of the great Arnold Palmer, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 87. So tell me your favorite Arnold Palmer story. What's the best story that you had and the best memory that you ever shared with him?
There's so many. I mean, I would sit down with him for a couple hours, and he would just talk about certain golf tournaments that happened 60 years ago, and I'm going, man, I hope I have this kind of memory when I'm like, my memory is horrible now. I don't know if it was from that concussion in the postseason or, but I'm telling you, it was just amazing. It seems like 2 hours every time I came in from playing golf. It was like we talked about how bad these guys' cards are and how they're wasting their money, that they should do better things with their lives. I mean, just the fact that he would sit down and chat with us. And, you know, a good friend of mine, Todd Green, he's trying to get on the PGA Tour, and it's going to be an uphill battle. But, you know, Mr. Palmer, you know, it gave him that chance to come to Bay Hill and say, you know what, let's try your game out here. You know, continue to practice, continue to do what you can. You're a student of Bay Hill. We hope you do well. But, you know, he opens up his golf courses. He opens up his life. He opens up his heart to everybody. And hopefully Todd makes it. You know, who knows? But, you know, he's very appreciative of everything Mr. Palmer gave to him. A good friend of mine, Robert Damon, who I went to high school with, he played in the PGA for a while and was side by side with Arnold Palmer so much. And, you know, I wish I was with him a lot more. I mean, I would probably say I've met him or been around him about 15 times in my life. You know, obviously not enough. But, you know, just every time I did see him, it was special. And every time I heard he was coming to the club, I made sure I stayed, whether it was an extra half hour or an extra 2 hours. When I heard Mr. Palmer was coming, I was like, I'm going to be here, because there's not many times you're face-to-face with a legend like that. And, you know, he's that guy. You know, I'm always asked who I would, you know, want to have dinner with, and Arnold Palmer's the guy. I mean, it was always Ronald Reagan and, believe it or not, Ice Cube. But, you know, what Arnold Palmer is, you know, at the top of the list. I mean, he, you know, jumps past everybody, and just to be able to sit around the table and, you know, he just talk, and, you know, it was fun.
I read what Jack Nicklaus wrote about Arnold Palmer, and it was extremely touching. What did Arnold used to share to you about Jack and their relationship and how they were rivals, but they were also very close friends?
Yeah, well, the thing in golf is you're by yourself out there unless it's a Ryder Cup or something. But, you know, he always spoke fondly of Jack, yeah, and he did mention a few times that, yeah, everyone thinks we don't like each other, but, you know, he's trying to win every week, and so is Jack. And, you know, it was a competitive friendship, and they got along perfectly well. And I know Dick Ferris is a great friend of Arnie's as well, and, you know, he's going to miss him as well. So it's Arnie had so many friends here, especially down at this club, and you know, unfortunately, after Bay Hill this year, you know, Arnie went back up to Pennsylvania, so I hadn't been able to see him all summer, and that's unfortunate. But I know he wanted to be at the place where he wanted to be and where he grew up and where his roots started. So, yeah, I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. Like, man, all summer long I didn't see him, but I know he's good. I know God's taking great care of him. I know he is at peace, and he was just a wonderful guy.
Let me ask you this, because I always love the date August 9th, because that's my birthday, and it's also the birthday of your newborn, Damon. Let's say in 10, 12 years, Dash asks you to describe Arnold Palmer. How do you describe Arnold to your kid to continue to live on that legacy of what Arnold meant to so many people?
I would probably just have to say the best. I mean, you can't get any better than Arnold Palmer. You know, definitely the best human being that I've ever met, and what he brought with Arnie's Army, what he brought to everything, what he brought to the game of golf. You know, he brought it to the masses, and a lot of people started playing, and obviously Arnie passed it on to Tiger Woods, and Tiger brought it to every culture and every race, and so it started with Arnie, and but yeah, I can't wait to show my son Dash the picture of Mr. Palmer and I. So he's going to be amazed with all these incredible people that I know.
How many kids do you have these days? You almost have a baseball team, right?
Yeah, we're one short of a baseball team, so I have 8 kids, and
Wow.
I'm loving every moment of it. So this Dash was a extra blessing. We were able to tell my father the day before he passed this year, and my dad was at peace, and Dash is just incredible, and hopefully Mr. Palmer can go say hi to my pops up there, because I know they would get along very well.
Johnny Damon joins us right now. I have to unfortunately transition to Jose Fernandez and the tragic loss that we've all encountered on Sunday. And last night was the first game back for the Marlins, and you saw the D. Gordon home run that was very emotional, and no one cared about winning or losing that game last night, but it was about honoring the memory of Jose Fernandez. Sometimes we look at baseball players as robots, but you guys are humans too, and you guys have an incredible bond with your teammates. I just don't know how those players were able to play that game last night, Johnny. It was very emotional, and I thought they did a tremendous job honoring their friend.
Yeah, I don't know how they were able to go and play, because when you talk about a baseball team, you're with each other more than you're with your families, and the bond that you have over the course of a year. And he was there for 4 years, and the guy was really good. I mean, when your stuff looks that good, watching on TV, this guy, was on his way to be possibly one of the best of our generation. And the saddest part is, he and his girlfriend were getting ready to have a blessing of their own, a little girl. And it's sad, and it's really tough to talk about, because you understand a little bit with Mr. Palmer getting up there at 87, but this kid was 24 years old with his life in front of him and with a baby on the way. And I don't know. And like the circumstances, like he was supposed to pitch, but they wanted to save him for the Mets. Things in life change, and unfortunately, this is just a very sad reminder. A perfect place for him to play, Miami. He had the Cuban community, not only the Cuban community, but he had the entire community there for him. And it's really tough to grasp. And, I'm happy with how those guys went forward and how they are honoring him. And hopefully in time we will understand why certain tragedies happen. But right now it's definitely tough, especially for his family and his teammates.
I feel like we're just in a giant nightmare right now as Johnny Damon joins us, because it's very emotional. And last night you even saw the emotion on the Mets players as this touches everyone. Travis d'Arnaud was behind the dish last night, even when the home run occurred, and he even talked about how he was sobbing. So last night you just saw the respect of the game and respecting an individual, and that was something that I'll remember for the rest of my life with that D. Gordon home run. But you talked about how you actually talked to Jose Fernandez back when he was a youngster. How did that relationship start?
Well, that relationship started when my buddy was starting to try to work for an agency, and they were trying to sign him. And he asked if I could talk to him, and I said absolutely. Yeah, I kind of just spelled it out. Like, he was a dominant pitcher in high school, and if he goes to college, these colleges want to win, and rightfully so. So, if he ends up blowing out in high school was or in college was what I was telling him. I was like, there could be a uphill battle to try to get back to pro baseball, and he understood that. When he was drafted by the Marlins, he knew that he wanted to turn pro, and he knew that he was going to be ready in a matter of a year or two. So after all that stuff was done, he signed. He ended up blowing out. So, but, blowing out at the college level or blowing out at the big league level is a big difference. So, the team was able to have the best doctors for him, get him ready to come back and do what he was doing. And, I mean, there's pros and cons for every kid. My kid's in that situation. I think my kid's a college guy, but Jose Fernandez was ready for the big time. And, just that smile and that energy and that love for the game and love for his community. And the fact that he had to try to come over to America a number of times and failed, and, he found a way. So you always knew Jose was going to find a way to get the job done or do the right thing. But unfortunately, late one night, things weren't going right, and it's so unfortunate. I mean, like you can ask anyone like how good he was, and he was definitely top 10 pitchers.
He was a better person, though. He was a better person.
Yeah. He was a better person, and when you see players like that care so much, and I mean, balling that's what's so touching. And there's no perfect answer to give. I'm still shocked. I mean, you saw him on the highlights, and hitting home runs, and I saw a pitch thrown behind him, and at least he told the pitchers, you can hit me, but don't throw at my head, please. So, I mean, just the way that he was able to talk to people, and it's devastating, and I just hope the best for his family. It's got to be tough, and I'm so sorry for the Marlins and all of baseball for this loss of a tremendous human being, and now he's with Arnold Palmer. Maybe he can get his golf game going or something. I don't know. There's no positive things to say, but I do believe there's a better place out there, and I hope he's enjoying it.
No question. Johnny, before we let you run, I have to end this conversation on a happy note because it's been a very sad one, remembering the life of two great people. Also, tonight you have the New York Yankees playing the Boston Red Sox, and a good friend of yours, David Ortiz, is getting his last hurrah at Yankee Stadium. Give me a good, funny story about David Ortiz so we could smile a little bit.
Well, David Ortiz is the absolute best. I mean, I saw him on Seth Meyers last night saying that the stadium's going to moon him, and I don't think so. I think the New York Yankees respect David Ortiz. And, the New York Yankees and their fans respect him, and they just can't wait for him to get on his way, because what he brought, 3 championships to Boston when there was none in 86 years. I think they're happy that this is it, and but David Ortiz, great story. We had spring training back in 2003 or 2004. So I always took my boat down to Fort Myers, and just to see this big guy get on the boat, and I put on this tiny life jacket saying that he's not a good swimmer, just in case. Something happens, if he happens to jump in or whatever. So he was very cautious about being safe and being all that stuff. But just to see, my kids can't even fit in the jacket that he had on. But it was very funny. And, and also when he tried to go down to the bathroom, he stepped on one of my steps, and he broke the whole step. So David Ortiz around boats is not a pretty sight, but David is full of life, and just the way that he gets along with everybody in the game. I mean, whether it's a Latin player, a white player, an Asian player, a black player, David Ortiz covers that whole thing. Like David Ortiz should run for office one day. So we'll see what happens.
Well, he could definitely get some good votes in Boston. I don't know if the people in New York would vote for him, but last one for you as Johnny Damon joins us right now. You went from being his teammate, winning a World Series, to then playing against him. How tough was that with how good of a dude he is and how good of a baseball player he is, and seeing the comeback that he put together in 2004, going from being his teammate to then being the enemy when you would play him?
Oh, it was tough making a move, but you understand it's a business. David understood it was a business. Every time I played with him, I tried to win, and every time I played against him, I tried to beat him. So, I mean, I think players understand the business side of it, and when I did make that move, I was the fourth player from the 04 championship team to go to the Yankees, and, plus the Yankees was my fourth team, and how many years was I in the big leagues by then? Let's see, 6, 10. That was my 12th year in the big league, so I understood the business side of it. It sucks, but it happens, and I'm so happy that David Ortiz is still in Boston. I mean, there were so many times he thought he was going to have to possibly go to the Yankees, but he had good enough years, and as a DH, they were like, we might as well keep this guy because he can do some damage, especially in the postseason. So I'm happy he's there. I'm rooting for him this year, and I really don't think he should retire. Is what
it's incredible
what
how good he's still playing. It's incredible how good he's still playing.
Yeah, if he continued to live in Boston, he might as well play. If he wants to move elsewhere and do his thing in the Dominican or Miami or even Orlando. He doesn't have to answer all these questions, but with what they can pay him next year, continue to play until you can't play anymore. Because I'll tell you, once you're done playing, you miss it. And I mean, I don't miss it anymore, but the first year or two was tough. But he should keep playing. I mean, so what? He goes from hitting 30-plus homers to hitting 25. I still think that's pretty good. So I hope he continues to play because, I think Boston needs him more than we think. I mean, without him, who knows where Boston would be. I mean, the fact that Mookie Betts is probably an MVP candidate this year, Pedroia has a resurgence. I mean, those guys thrive off of Big Papi hitting between them.
Johnny, once again, we send our condolences to you and your family on the passing of your good friend in Arnold Palmer, and we also send our congratulations as well to the birth of your newborn. Thanks for the time today, and let's do it again real soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Take care.